All right, here on the 757 at 6 on ESPN Radio 94.1, and also with our folks that are checking us out on VirginiaPreps.com and our YouTube channel, of course, VirginiaPreps.com, the Virginia High School Sports on the Rivals.com network. I am Matthew Patfield, pleased to be joined by a special guest who got his start doing high school sports, high school baseball, and some other things as well at Frank W. Cox High School in Virginia Beach, which won a state baseball championship this past year. He got a chance to win a championship with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Of course, he started at the University of Virginia as well, a 2021 All-Star, a NLCS MVP back in 2017, and he's got a neat event coming up for a good cause on January the 16th on a Sunday at Top Golf in Virginia Beach. Here to tell us all about that and much more with his CT3 Foundation is the one and only Chris Taylor. Chris, thank you for doing this and chatting with us. How's life been? I understand you were just in Hawaii recently.
Yeah, I was. I went to Oahu, and that's where my now fiance grew up, and celebrated the holiday season over there with her family, and actually proposed to her. So it was a good trip.
Nice. So when is the big date, if you can let us know in on it, and do you have a location as well? When and where? What's the details, if you can?
Don't know the full details yet, but it will be next winter, and it'll probably be in Hawaii.
Okay. Well, you've got an event coming up. It's the Driving for Hope at Top Golf in Virginia Beach. As we mentioned, January 16th, the event's going to include golf, food, entertainment, and a celebrity auction. Your charitable foundation, CT3, your initials and jersey number, is presenting the event. And people can find more info by just going to ct3foundation.org, where they can also, I believe, sign up and register. Tell us what made you want to do this, and give us the genesis of how this event was created.
Yeah, I think it's helping kids is something I've always been passionate about. And, one of my closest friends that I grew up with, Kyle Profile, I played baseball with him at Cox High School. He lost his fight with osteosarcoma a few years back, which is a bone cancer. And, so I like to think that this event is kind of in his memory. And yeah, it's just, I've been given this unique platform playing for the Los Angeles Dodgers, one of the most popular sports teams in the country. And, I just like to feel like it's my duty to use it for good. And, there's more to life than just playing baseball games, and, trying to spread awareness and, especially back in Virginia Beach, my hometown that I grew up in. And I think this Top Golf event should be a good way to do that.
I believe it was one of the playoff games. It might have been the World Series game. You can correct me, where you had the picture. I remember you said stand up for Kyle. I mean, what did that kind of do to you as far as psychologically, mentally, and how much did that kind of change you and just your outlook on life?
Yeah. It's it meant a lot to me, and I know it meant a lot to his family. Being able to do that in the World Series and at the All-Star game as well. It was Kyle Profile and also Dalton Fox, who lost his fight with Ewing sarcoma last year, and he grew up in my neighborhood, and both of their families are helping put on this event as well. And just great people. And I can't imagine what they have been through in the last couple of years, dealing with a child, one of their kids fighting cancer and losing their life. It's it's so hard. And I'm very thankful that they're by my side, helping me put this event on. And like I said, being able to, display their names on that stage in the World Series and an All-Star game, I was very proud I was able to do that.
Did you ever envision yourself, Chris, giving back in this kind of way growing up? I mean, did you know you'd make it or get to the big leagues at any point as you were going through your journey from high school to college? And I imagine as a kid, we all see those commercials that come on where you can give back to some kind of charitable cause, but now doing that, tell us about what that kind of means to you as well.
Yeah. I always had confidence in my ability. I think ever since a little kid, I believed I was going to be a Major League Baseball player. I think you have to believe that if you want to succeed. And it's one thing to be hopeful and believe it's going to happen. It's another thing to live it out. And the journey to get here, there's a lot of peaks and valleys, and it makes it that much better. Going through some of the struggles, and then I think there was so much time, kind of, I like to say, grinding through the minor leagues and getting called up and sent back down with the Seattle Mariners and traded to the Dodgers. There's a lot of years where all of my focus was on baseball, and that was it. And I was just trying to do whatever I could to establish myself. And, now that I've done that and I've secured a home here in Los Angeles playing for the Dodgers, I think I can spend a little more time and effort putting my focus on other things as well, and for a greater cause.
Chatting with Chris Taylor, the product of Cox High School in Virginia Beach, the University of Virginia, and a member of the World Series champion Los Angeles Dodgers from 2020. You played 6 positions in 2021, had that memorable walk-off homer against St. Louis, plus a 3-homer game in the National League playoffs. Our guest here on the 757 at 6 on ESPN Radio 94.1. His Driving for Hope coming up at Top Golf in Virginia Beach on January the 16th. Go up there and check out the info at CT3Foundation.org as you join Chris in his Driving for Hope, raising funds for the fight against pediatric cancer. And Chris, I believe it was you and your girlfriend, fiance, I should say, who came up with this neat idea as well. During the lockout, you can't really have contact, obviously, in person with some things and so forth. And the pandemic has certainly made some things difficult in a lot of regards too. But you and her had this neat thing with the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, some patients there. I think you coordinated this virtual appearance. Tell us about that. And I know there was a young man who really touched your heart during that whole thing as well.
Yeah. So Mary and I, the way they do it is it's like a virtual visit, and they basically I think they put an iPad on a robot. And so our faces were on this robot, and we were controlling the robot from our iPad, and we were going from room to room, which that was pretty difficult. But we got
tougher than a video game, right? Tougher than a video game, I imagine, right?
Yeah, just because the service was a little spotty, and the robot was delayed, but we were able to meet a few kids that were in the hospital, which was really cool. The one kid that was a diehard Dodger fan, his name was Christian, and he knew everything about the Dodgers. He knew my stats. He had been to multiple games. He went to my first walk-off home run game. And he said he got a chance to celebrate our World Series win, which I was happy for him because we didn't get a chance to do that because of COVID. So he got to celebrate for us.
When you have a kid that can recite your stats or know that, does that take you back to your childhood days and almost like when you're with your friends, your buddies playing ball at the park or going to Harbor Park, watching the Tides or whatever it might be, high school games? Does it kind of give you those flashback moments? What goes through your mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I obviously, growing up in the Hampton Roads area, I followed all those local guys, David Wright, Michael Kadire, Ryan Zimmerman, the Uptons, Mark Reynolds. Those were the guys I looked up to when I was in middle school, high school. And those guys were in the major leagues, and I was hoping to follow in their footsteps. So, I can definitely relate. And it's cool. It kind of brings me back a little bit. And, hopefully I can inspire some kids that are playing today to eventually be where I am.
Sure. Now, you were traded in 2016 from Seattle to LA, and the general manager of the Mariners, Jerry Dipoto, called it, quote, clearly the worst deal I've ever made. At the time when he had that happen, for you, what were the emotions for you when you got traded and when you got dealt? Take us back to that if you can. Hard to believe it was, 6 years ago?
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of a bittersweet feeling, I think. It was because I had spent 3 years between AAA and the big leagues in Seattle, Seattle and Tacoma, and I was constantly going up and down. I just couldn't stick in Seattle, and I felt like I had kind of reached a point where they were overlooking me, maybe, and so I think I just needed a fresh start. So I think even at the time, I was thinking it was good for my career to move on. But at the same time, I had developed so many relationships with the Seattle Mariners, with the coaches and some of my teammates. So saying goodbye was tough, but obviously it turned out for the best.
Yeah, you become an all-star, a champion, the ultimate utility man, as you're described by so many with the Dodgers. You can play this position, that position. I think someone, what was your position, but maybe your best trait is that you play any position, just that selfless mentality and attitude. Is that what you think has kind of been your niche, is that you'll do whatever the team asks to get a win?
Yeah, that I was sort of forced into that role so I always thought of myself as a shortstop, everyday shortstop. And I think most shortstops are pretty stubborn minded in that they only want to play shortstop and they don't want to play anywhere else. And that's how I was. I was that guy that if I was playing second base, I was mad that I wasn't playing shortstop. Um, and then when I got traded over to the Dodgers, 3 years of being in AAA, trying to stay in the big leagues, you'll just do whatever you can to stay on the big club. And then when they got a guy who's at the time like 23 years old, Corey Seager, rookie of the year, all-star, my hopes of being their everyday shortstop kind of go out the window. So, I'm just trying to do whatever I can to stick with the club, and, playing all over the field is the way to do that.
Was there a breakthrough type of moment, or even that moment where you look back now here saying, all right, I've kind of arrived, or I've solidified myself? Or is it just that constant grind, knowing how competitive professional baseball is and things can change in the blink of an eye, that you really haven't even in your mind given that thought of like, all right, you can kind of have that relaxed mentality, or kind of let up a little bit? How do you look at that and approach it?
Yeah, no, I don't think I've ever had that moment. I realize at this point I'm in a completely different situation than I was 5 years ago. But, I think as a baseball player, you have to kind of keep that same mentality no matter what. If you're not out there always trying to prove yourself and be better than you were the year before, then if you're not going forward, you're going backwards. So, I've always kind of played with a chip on my shoulder, and I try to keep that no matter what situation I'm in.